Hey friends, welcome to the Graveyard Gush, the show where me and my pals just share everything we love about horror, regardless of it being a blockbuster hit or a bargain bin piece of shit. We are here to gush about it all. This time around, me and my pals went to go see Radio Silence's latest feature, Abigail, a fun little film about a group of criminals kidnapping the daughter of a notorious mob boss. Much to their surprise, to only find out later on that their said target just so happens to be a vampire. As you can imagine, chaos ensues. Unfortunately, the recording we did together didn't turn out as expected. No, apparently we had mic problems, leaving us with a recording that sounds like it came from a fishbowl. And considering that, spoiler alert, that we found the movie to be okay, yeah, it is the world's okayest film, I didn't see the reason to go out of our way to redo our conversation. The acting was fun, the gore was fantastic, and the humor, hit. It felt like there were a lot of great concepts and pieces and ingredients to make what would probably be another classic feature from Radio Silence, but instead it felt half-baked. But yeah, enjoy the recording for what it is. No harm on my end if you don't listen to the whole thing. I'll see you next time.
Okay.
That's fine with it, but...
Yes, we have a full house here today. We'll go around them real quick. You should know me by now. I'm Jim Flintworth Burns. To my left, Adam.
Hello.
Who the fuck are you?
I'm
All right.
What's your pronouns, bitch?
He, him, and I'm sexy.
Oh, I'm sexy.
Perfect. Who's that to your right?
There's no
That's
one to
Jim.
the right.
It's me, sorry. You're opposite of me. Who's to your left?
Hi, I'm Kimberly. I use she, her pronouns. I'm fucking glad to be here. Oh, did we say fuck all this time?
You guys
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't get the memo.
I love her.
Oh my gosh. Hello again. It is Tiffany, half of Brit and Tiff. I also have a cosplay channel on YouTube called Tiffany's. And I am happy to be back.
All right, hey guys, I'm Brittany and I'm the other half of Brit and Tiff, and I can be found as Belladonna Brit under all my socials if you'd like to find me, and my pronouns are she, her. Oh fuck, I'm a she, her. Nice of you to catch up.
I'm Kenny. Welcome aboard the Hot Mess Express. My pronouns are whatever you want them to be. Daddy.
Oh, okay.
And good luck finding me anywhere.
And we just got done watching Abigail, the latest from Radio Silence, and we have words to share about this movie, which I think, I'm not sure what it was you said, by far the best way to review this thing is that it was like the most okay of the okayest movies.
It is.
It's okay.
It's fine. I don't regret seeing you.
Yeah.
I regret spending money seeing it.
That's fair. Okay, watch it on stream.
Yeah.
What are we going to do with all of these giant posters we got from
Keep them because there's still going to be more.
Yeah, that's a
No,
yeah.
context,
Yeah,
Like,
please.
a lot of us were at Horror Hounds. Actually,
All of us.
All of us.
In this room. There's like one person who's not here who was at Horror Hound with us. And so we're on the Horror Hound, and we got, almost all of us got these giant, like, theatrical Abigail posters.
Double-sided.
And we were, well, there's like the ones that you
There's
like
theatrical posters, yeah.
So we were all sitting there going, God, this movie better be good. And now we're all sitting here with these posters going,
They're still going to be worth money.
I mean, they're good posters.
They're
They are
still
good
posters.
posters.
Still
Still better than the movie.
Yeah.
Because it's called Graveyard Gush, and we're going to be talking, I want to start out with something I like. I will
Please.
say that I did find it very funny, and I did like the amount of gore that was in it. To me,
It was so
like,
gooey.
It was a good amount of gore. There was a scene where it was over the top, and it was like, holy shit, but it was meant to make you feel uncomfortable, and we'll talk about that in a little bit.
The
But
best thing I
overall,
can say
good
about
gore,
it,
good fun.
the best thing I can say about it is it made me want to watch all the movies that inspired it. But not this one
You
again.
want to talk about Gush?
Yes.
Oh, Okay, as like a vampire fan, all of the blood was disgusting, and I was straight up cackling every time there was a blood explosion. It was delightful in that respect.
It's not just the blood, it was the blood explosion.
Yeah, same team as the Ready or Not blood explosion.
They remade their own damn movie!
But
I would have to figure it out.
Penny, what did you like about this?
There was a lot of really cool, like, little visual references that I got. Whether or not they were intentional, there was a couple of shots that were very Dario Argento.
Yeah.
The Lake of Bodies was very reminiscent of Phenomena.
I got
I'm sorry, the Pool of Bodies was right.
Texture.
The
texture.
Just thinking of Catherine Newton being in that pool filming it, just...
I wish they used real flies, because it looked like CGI bugs.
And that's the thing, that's why I say, like, have you guys ever seen Phenomena?
No.
It's a Dario Argento film with Jennifer Connelly, and Argento did it better. But it reminded me of that, and I like that kind of visual reference. I like the, like, trying to emulate a vampire as badass as the ones that steer dark. There was just a lot about this movie that reminded me of other movies that I really enjoyed. And I also love the girl actress.
Yes.
She was amazing.
Yes! Yeah, me and Kimberly in the theater at the same time when she started swearing. I'm like, Blair, you share a heart out. Not me!
That standing with the cross.
Yeah.
And all of the casting really went. I enjoyed every performance.
We had Kesha. We had Matt Miller. We had Elon Musk.
It's Abigail's mansion.
I had to turn in my crib.
I had to turn it out and I'm like, I swear, is that Elon? I need to know. No, it's not. And I had to look it up on IMDb. Well, I also have to say that we had a very interesting theater experience because the lights didn't shut. And I had to get up and leave and tell these people that the lights didn't shut off. And it was kind of perfect because right as they were like, and we're in, and the lights just cut out, and it was the heist, and it was kind of a great experience.
And also, I think this was Angus Cosmo's movie.
Yeah, it was.
Is that the one who I thought was Mac Miller?
Yes,
Yeah.
and then you made a Mac Miller instead joke. And it was unfortunate because Angus Cloud has recently passed away.
That's why it was in his memory.
That said, I thought
I
he was
didn't
great.
know. I'm sorry.
I thought he was great, though. I don't...
I wasn't trying to be
TV
tasty.
show, he's a TV show guy, right?
Yeah.
Is he from Shameless?
No. Something new.
I liked his autograph at the end.
Yeah.
Euphoria. That's... So Shameless, but high schoolers. He must have been that good of an actor in this film because I hated his character so much. I didn't want him to die. I was just waiting for it. I was like, please be the first Connor.
He was one of like the few I think enjoyable characters to listen to, and he was also one of the few sources of actual scares.
That jump scare, I
medical that
I was medical.
Oh, the pig ass?
The pig ass
That
one.
fucked me up.
That
Yeah.
I was catatonic for a good minute and a half.
I like that mix of, you have the really sophisticated professionals, and then you had, like, the low-tier crime. Dude, like, because you've seen that in lots of movies where you've got, like, the low-tier criminals who have, like, a lot of things at stake, and they're all snapping at each other, and they might fall apart. But then you also have the professional heist people who also have, like, they snap at each other. Yeah. Seeing stuff like that, so seeing the two of them clash like that was a new dynamic I've not seen before.
And that's the one thing that kind of bummed me about the whole experience. They had a lot of cool setup, a lot of cool set pieces, and the actors they had really cool characters that they portrayed well. You can see, hey, everyone had talent. This is not a good story.
Yeah, that's the thing. They knew their puzzle pieces. They had the whole recipe. They had great core. They had a great cast. But it's like they thought that those puzzle pieces could get around to like piece their movie well.
Ultimately, it wasn't the cast's fault.
No, not at all. I thought all of them actually.
I really like a lot of them. Like their performances were great. It's just how it played together with the pacing. And I'll say that I feel like this movie really suffered from showing way too much in the trailers.
Yeah.
I literally turned to Kimberly. I'm gonna say at this point, like we're getting any spoilers, just heads up.
Yeah.
We're already
We're already
next
next.
we're bodies will be
We're
spoilers.
bodies. But, like, I knew for a fact, like, waiting for Steven to be a vampire because they literally showed it in the trailer. I'm like,
Did they?
I didn't know the third act move.
Even beyond the fucking trailer spoiling everything, I feel like they telegraphed every single scene.
Yeah, it was
Every single moment, I was like looking at Jim. I was like, "This is what's going to happen next." Sure enough, 3 minutes later, told you. I'm like, there was nothing about this movie that wasn't predictable.
It was an all-in-gorge actor.
Right.
I will say, the one thing that I did not find predictable was Catherine Newton becoming the vampire and taking him out.
Really?
Not necessarily like, yes, she was going to become a vampire, she was going to do this, but like the way that she was like the puppet.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually really liked seeing her in that type of role because we always see her as the heroine, or we see her as like in Freaky, she was the villain, but she also went back to being really like the sweet girl kind of stuff. So seeing her as like this like succubus vampire, like gnarly, it was really good seeing her in something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Actors.
I wish that was more than one scene because I love watching her do that, but I also just I love her. Like she can sell anything.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the trailer like gave away so much, but it was taking us so long to get to Abigail being the vampire. I'm like,
We don't know.
we know. It's
Right.
like, you guys wanted it in the trailer.
And the thing that I was thinking of too, though, at the same time, like, because I'm with you guys, I do think that the trailer spoiled a lot of things. How would you rectify that in this movie? Because you obviously have to advertise it as horror,
Yes.
but the setup is not horror at all.
No.
So I mean,
It would have to really just show everything from like the first act and then nothing else. Like up to
Or
Rick
like very
Rickles.
fast glimpses where you don't see it come down to clear,
Right.
and then just still trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. And a lot of
Should
that
have
first
tone in the
one-
trailer to make it feel more A24 than.
Feel
Yes.
more like
Yeah.
a mystery. Yes.
Yeah, I think they were banking so hard on like, ooh, come see the vampire ballerina. They banked, they just they went too far.
They do in the first act. They spend a lot of time drawing out this, ooh, like my father's this big scary guy,
And he like was revealed he's a little bitch.
They have the clips, the
Yeah.
audio clips to build. Oh, there's this scary father. They kidnapped the girl, and then it turns out
Yes,
it's
misdirection.
Okay, so then make the trailer about that. Then give us some gore clips where people go, oh shit, it gets bloody.
Yeah.
And then you come see the movie and you're like, oh, it's a vampire movie.
Exactly that. You can even keep the poster.
Yes.
Because then you have this air of mystery around you. Right. Keep the audio clips. Keep like the clips of the house locking down.
Yes.
And then absolutely keep all that. Don't let me see that Catherine Newton's being controlled. Don't let me see Dan Stevens as a vampire. Don't let me see
The reveal of the fucking they revealed the child vampire reveal in the trailer.
Yeah.
That is a key scene in the movie that you should have kept secret.
Yeah.
Because we're like, when's it gonna happen?
Yeah.
When's it gonna happen?
Right.
When's it gonna happen? When's it gonna happen?
Right.
It felt like there was supposed to feel like there was a payoff with the reveal of the father, but it felt so
I'm
flat.
like,
I didn't
talk
want
about
to-
that. I
I'm
want to
sorry. When I see like this crime boss that you're like building up, like, oh, Lazar. When I see him, I think like I can beat his ass.
You're right. Except the dead vampire. When I saw him, I think my mind went straight to like, oh look, it's the Babadook's gay brother.
No, but but he worked for me because of Joey's reaction to him. So when she turned and she was like visibly shaking and shocked, because
the greatest threat is a white man. Yeah.
no, what I mean is they say that like you don't sell yourself as powerful. Everyone's reaction to you sells to that.
He looked like a fucking Harry Potter character. I'm sorry, I
It's
can't.
yeah. You know, it's the receiving end that shows the power. So I'm willing to accept I'm in the minority there,
Yeah.
but her reaction sold me.
Sure.
He's just a guy. Hit him with your car.
And there's a lot of that I just felt in this movie where it's like I saw something and I'm like, well, that was a disappointment. Like, because they build for like a payoff that's like, yeah, dude, I could just fucking Avada Kedavra you in 30 seconds or less.
I guess my home with the dad at the end is I felt
Where was his hat?
Well, the scene
Yeah,
that
they had the keep showing.
Where the whole
Yeah.
time, so they build this thing that Melissa Barrera's character, like
Uh-huh.
her tragedy is that she left her son with her son's deadbeat dad, and that's her trauma, right? And so her whole, like, coming into her own is her kind of stepping into this withdrawal role, and you're like, okay, that's great. She saves the child. Okay, that's great. End the movie. Let her walk away. We don't need to meet the dad. That's kid keeps saying dad's not there. And then at the very end, abusive dad comes back, and Melissa Pereira leaves the child with another deadbeat abusive man. I'm like, so you've learned nothing and you've changed nothing?
Right.
Like, you threw your entire life out the window.
That's a valid point that even people consider. I was more so just like, oh, you don't need to show him at all because it's not really the villain. And I also want to bring up real quick, so a lot of you were worried about this beforehand. When it comes to gushing can go both negative and positive, so don't worry about exactly.
Disgusting.
That's what I mean.
I love it.
I will say one thing, and I know we're kind of working on it. I'm trying to find good things too, but I really liked the first 2 kills in this movie. To me, those were actually very creepy. So, like, we have, I forget his character's name, but go on.
Dean.
Yes, Dean. So, you have him, like, getting killed and stuff like that, and you're like, okay, yeah, whatever. And then all of a sudden, like, the head falls off, and you're like, oh shit, this is what we're in. And that's the first war in the movie. And that is first war in the movie, and it's gross. It's like legitimate, like that head there, and it just comes right off. And then the second one was Rickles, and he had just all of a sudden you turn around and he's just like twitching. And you're like, oh shit, something happened. And then Joey turns him around and you see the fucking chunks out of him. Like, those 2 to me were very good kills in the fact that it kind of set it up and then it kind of didn't.
The power of less is more.
And I really like that version too, because they really just finished setting him up as like, oh, it's gonna be him and Joey, Melissa Pereira's character till the end, and then they immediately throw off and go, okay.
I mentioned. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, didn't you guys feel like for a second maybe Joey and Rickles knew each other in real life?
Yeah.
It really got that vibe.
There was that. Yeah, there's a moment he's been for a kiss. I felt that too.
For them establishing that he's the grab ass to the minimum line, and then no one trying to grab any ass, surprising, right?
You thought it was going to go a different direction. I think, to go with your point before, Kimberly, about like you're setting something up just to like sorely miss. Like, I mentioned in the last episode that one of my favorite aspects of horror is there's psychology behind every single movie. What this movie was sorely missing was exactly that. There was so much missed opportunity for psychology in this like version of horror that I really there was a lot of marks that were being missed, and a lot of times characters would see something that was so pertinent to what they were going through and then just decided, not my circus, not my monkey. Help each other out! Like,
they took the split up way too far.
Right.
Any chance that they had to stay together, they threw it in there.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was a pacing thing too, because they split up like right away, and then they gather, and then they split up together.
And the part that you see is, let's split up, all of us split up in different directions, so that if you find them, you can call me, and then I'll come running to you.
Yeah.
It's like from the opposite end of this mansion, good luck.
Yeah, it's
right?
now expressed
Yeah.
like a mile.
The mansion,
That wasn't a beautiful mansion.
Oh yeah, that was a cool set.
It was a beautiful set piece.
Yeah.
It very much so had religious iconography.
Yeah. I love little hints of like, how long they've been living there, like the drawings, the statue. I would love to see more of that.
For a second there too, when they like started going to like look for like the power source, I'm like, I haven't seen a single example of electricity in this house.
Well, the TV.
Oh yeah,
The TV,
you're
the
right,
lights.
You're right.
The
Fluorescence in the basement.
yeah, at the kitchen. But the thing is funny that the first kill in the entire movie, Abigail.
In the kitchen.
Not only that, but she kills the druggie, the one high as hell, to get the munchies started for the rest of her kill the rest of the night. Like, some good drug blood.
There are some like really good ideas in this movie, or even like small clever things, like when our first guy goes to die in the basement, like she's watching the cartoon, you're someone going, "What are you gonna eat for dinner?" You know, and that's like right before he dies. Or even just like the difference in the movements of each vampire is really cool. Like, first of all, you're like, oh yeah, Abigail's a ballerina, that's silly. But then you see how
I wish they would have dived into that more.
But then you see how like it's incorporated in her movement, in her form of combat, which I thought was cool.
That
And you put it
was.
up against like our other vampires. I was like, actually, that's a really cool idea. I feel
Like
like
her-
I would
like-
like to see more of that.
Like they're jumping over, I think, a few people, full on Furiettes.
Yeah.
They had great ideas, they didn't know what to do with it.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah, it read like a full-on series of improv skits. Okay, you guys are a bunch of thieves who just kidnapped a girl who's a vampire. Go!
Just one thing I really did like though about that scene where she starts to puppet Catherine Newton's body is that while she's like dancing and doing her ballerina routine on stage, she's doing it flawlessly. It's all fine, but then it goes back to Catherine Newton, and as she's doing the same moves, all her bones are cracking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see
Her
her.
muscles tearing.
The
She's not used
sound
to
in
being
this
a
movie
ballerina.
was great.
The sound was so
The
good.
effect was so cool.
The scene where he's like puking blood, I'm like, I don't like the sound of this.
That
Yeah.
got me like
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
I was sitting there beginning to feel nauseous, and then Tiff next to me just goes, "Oh, he's a squirter." And I was like, "That's what I needed. I'm good now."
Well, I remember when I was laughing at it in the theater. You're like, are you good? Kenny, I need to know. Because you're the dude who's got this stuck in my head. Because I'm like, okay, the vampires, right? They bite each other and they feed each other blood. And all I heard in my head was a spit, swap, and make out match. Like,
Why does that remind me of
I
you?
also-
It reminds you of me.
because it's part of this like big fucking like I don't know. It sounds like how like
No, Tiffany, I want to hear what
No.
Brittany's saying.
it sounds like a wrestling cadence to me. Of like it's a mix of that really long fucking monologue that you have for one of these wrestlers, along with that phrase that you say about fighters, like we're getting together in a spit swap makeout. And I immediately thought of that when I'm watching this guy spit blood everywhere, and I just go. And Tiffany's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'll tell you later. It's too much to explain."
Actually, like homoerotic that transformation scene was. It was
Yeah.
John Carter.
He's okay.
And Bruce Stevens.
It could have been
like,
gayer.
Oh, damn, they're like, oh no, they're really going.
It could have been gayer. It could have been gayer.
I was from the child vampire.
I don't care. The child wasn't in the scene.
Yeah. I thought that scene was pretty kinky.
It could have been kinkier.
Could have been wax instead.
It was-
I did
They could have been wearing less.
I will say
They shouldn't have been wearing anything.
I will say I did really appreciate that. Yes, this is a 1,000-year-old child, but they still treated her as a child and did not like overtly sexualize
Yes,
her.
sure.
Yeah.
I did really appreciate that.
Another thing that I really liked about the aspect of like a child vampire was the callback to Interview with the Vampire, where she's dancing with the corpse.
Yes.
Right away, I was like, "Yes, bitch, work!"
That was
Yeah.
fantastic. Just swinging that.
Yep.
I can just imagine how much fun everybody had filming this movie because, like,
Oh, it
you have
showed.
this child like dancing around with like this headless corpse. You have Catherine Newton like swimming through this disgusting pool of that was
And then
so
her scene,
gnarly.
like, as soon as she's caught dancing with this headless corpse, she's like, "Did I do something wrong?" Like, when everybody, like, that's a very childlike response. Like, am I in trouble? Like, I love that.
It's in that scene that I remember something else I really liked when she was like on top of the muscle dude
Yeah.
and like stabbing him. Now she's covered in his blood. She had that moment where she was rubbing on her face. She didn't just rub it. She like
Pool,
pulled her
Yeah.
face. I'm like, ooh,
that
that's
actress
that
was so
kind of
good.
that's that kind of bloodlust feral shit that I love to see.
Me and Brittany's
I
like,
loved her
feeling
when
very
she-
well.
I love her
Oh,
gripping
Yes.
the moment, like, yeah, during the whole scene, which is like, basically proving in one moment, it was a great moment of show and tell of just like, he's grabbing the cross, stabbing, kicking like the stakes out of the way, huffing the garlic across her nose.
My favorite line in this entire movie is I can't remember what her name was, but I feel like it was Sammy. Like, Sammy, those are fucking onions.
That is exactly what I would have said.
That's what we're all thinking. And then he just said it, and I lost myself. I was like, yes, favorite line in the entire movie.
That is exactly what I would have said. As somebody who loves cooking, the first thing is sushi comes out with these purple onions. Like, who the fuck fuck taught you what garlic was?
I don't understand the rules of vampirism in this movie.
I don't think they did either.
I like that though. I like that they were like, okay, like we all know about fake vampires, but now that this is a real one, what works and what's fake?
Right.
You know what I mean? That it's doing a nice job of separating the world of vampires in this movie from like, oh yeah, we know all those fake vampires and stories,
Right.
but this one's real, and so this one, with snake will do it, sunshine will do it. All the other shit won't do a thing.
I personally would have added like a scene with a crucifix just to show that it didn't work.
They did. It was.
They did.
They did?
Yeah,
she
it
was
was weird.
stabbing him.
Yeah, she grabbed the cross right off his shirt.
Ignore me, I'm dumb as fuck.
No.
Are you okay? It was good.
They're talking about like what do we know. I like each character's approach to it. So she's just like, okay, what do we know? Let's break it down. Let's be analytical about this. And the one is like, la 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 la, you're all fucking la 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 la. And then Catherine Newton's like, well, we're doing this. Okay, alright. Like, oh yeah, what are you talking about? We're doing this instead. You're being serious. Fuck me, okay.
We're
Let's
gonna
be
talk about how to
serious.
kill a vampire.
Yeah.
Right.
We're talking Twilight. We're talking True Blood.
Right. So
Count Chocula.
Because I feel like you're going to present that into a scene, you have that hurdle of, what do you mean vampire? You have to get over that hurdle really quick to believe in the thing. And I felt like that was a fun way to deal with that, where you have a person who goes, it's clearly a vampire, and everyone goes, fuck, okay, I guess it is. Let's talk about it.
At the end, she's like, no, he's dead, so you're fine. I'm like, who's making up these rules?
They were, it felt like
She
they were
understands
making
the rules because she's been alive for hundreds of years.
She does, but I felt like the director was making them up as
It was like a quick cop out.
And
Yeah.
I was okay with it, but also, like, vampire movies are sacred to me. Like, I don't care about vampire movies, so I was like, okay, cool, we're just establishing
Right.
this one's in its own set of rules, and I felt that they established that early enough
Yeah.
that some of the rules previously don't work, that it made it enough that I was like, okay, so whatever happens, I just gotta take it at face value now.
It did a lot of explaining in this film. I guess, like, you had 2 scenes of characters breaking down the other characters' backstories. I feel like they should have just kept the one that Abigail does locked inside. So she waits inside the elevator for knocking the gates down. That's like a perfect kind of breakdown of the characters. You didn't have like the weird kind of betting game at the start.
Well, see, and I would have preferred the betting game, but not the rest, because it made me more invested in Joey's character as like, oh, you're smart, you got this kind of up.
That's true. That's
But
fair.
you had to at some point connect them to the crime family directly.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a better way to do it, but the pacing of having both, I can see being a little funky.
Here's also the problem that I had with like literally everybody in this movie at one point was just dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
Even Joey, like I'm sorry, like she was the smartest, but she had her moments where I'm like, really, like when she is in that scene where she sees Abigail and fucking New York Tony or whatever his name is, fucking fighting. She has a stake and she can easily stab them both at the same time, and instead she fucking lets him go.
She puts it in his mouth instead.
Yeah.
She has the perfect chance to stab him back, and she goes far in the mouth.
She could kill them both!
Maybe it needed to be wood? Because
It was wood! That was the same stake that killed what's-his-face.
was it?
Was it? That was
Yeah,
No.
it was better.
In the mouth with the steak. She was holding it when
Right.
she was that cat.
Right. Everybody in this movie made a
There's
stupid
another
choice.
big
Yeah.
dumb. Is they establish about halfway through, and then they really double down on it at the end of the movie, that Joey is a medic. She's a medic. She's an army medic. What did we all say when New York Tony gets his leg through his leg, and all at the same time, we're all going, don't pull it out. We, who are not medics, go, you'll bleed out if you pull it out. And Joey walks up confidently
With a napkin!
Like, over him.
Right.
Which again, I would be like, oh yeah, okay, so she's just not very smart about it. And then they establish in the movie that she's a medic.
Right.
A combat medic at that.
As somebody kind of in the medical field, I was like, if you pull that out, there's a chance of a femoral artery bleed out, at least tourniquet it. None of those things happen.
I thought he was done for when she hit him in the legs. I was like, that's femoral.
Yep, exactly.
She took like a small hand towel and put it over his chocolate and left it.
Yeah.
And that was just his limb
I
thrust.
guess
He also shot the muscle right in the side and like they'll take you back off screen for like barely 5 minutes to get that bullet out.
Also, why did the sharpie dick disappear out
I
of his
know!
face? It was on there for one scene. You're telling me that it was a vampire and he went and found some acetone and wiped his face down first?
Look, as a prideful man, he had his priorities.
I wanted dick.
I wanted it bigger. I wanted it bigger and veinier.
But you started that too. But one thing we want to talk about, like this pure moment of idiocy. Clearly, the movie lasts longer than 24 hours. They started at night. We saw daylight, and then went back to night, right?
Yes.
You're telling me during that solid 12 hours, not one of them tried at all to break the big glass window overlooking the library and climb out?
Yeah, they really did not try that. And then the one time, during daylight, so when they're all safe, and then Joey is beating at a wall trying to break through, and they're all like, why are you doing that? Why even bother? I'm like, it's daylight, so the vampire's not going to come in here right now. Why not try? See, like, the basement, in the basement scene, Catherine Newton's character is literally smoking from the sunlight coming through.
Right.
So one thing to just try to break through those beams,
Yeah,
because it's literally sunlight on the other side.
1x4 that's holding the entire world out from this like dingy basement.
And
So, no, that
And
was.
shouldn't those have like metal shutters?
Tell me the logistics of that basement.
Yeah. Well, that house was clearly big on the inside. It was like some kind of like vampire card.
No, right away, as soon as I saw the mansion, the first thing I said was, "This could be a bigger mansion." Right.
Secretly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say that one of the things that I didn't quite understand, which I think was probably just problematic on my part, was I kind of turned to Kimberly and I'm like, didn't she bite it in the hand at the beginning of the movie? Like,
Yeah.
is that what? Okay, she stabbed it.
Yeah,
I was kind of like, okay, when's he gonna turn? When's he gonna turn? When's he gonna turn? And then it got to the point where Giancarlo Esposito finally came over and got him. But I was like, the whole time I thought that that's what was gonna do it, and that Jade did it. And I guess I just didn't understand Homer Ross is gonna turn. It died. It's just that it required.
Listen, everything needs to be a little gayer.
Yeah.
I was so sad with the whole Lambert character and Giancarlo Esposito was like
So underutilized.
Because the trailer, I was so sad.
Yeah,
I was so
I
hyped that
they
Bob
could have
did
done
this.
so much more with him.
And then you get him for that really cool in the beginning, and then you get him for that one single scene.
He was just too expensive.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was.
You bought a new boat though.
It's exactly what it was. And it was just such a letdown. I was hoping for more of him.
I also like want to say that they definitely really wanted to phone in to get a sequel. That whole last 5 minutes, I was like, you're really trying to push like us to want to see more.
I kind of almost thought. See, I try to always guess. That's my problem. Like, I'm gonna guess what's gonna happen next. And I was like, oh, so Joey's gonna be her new mom now, and it's gonna be those two together. And I was like, oh, that would make sense. But if they didn't throw out their entire metaphor at the end and scrap all of her characters out, but sure.
Not my circus, not my monkey.
Oh, man.
It did feel like. So, who are the directors of this movie again? You said it was the one from Ready or Not.
Yeah, and
And
Scream
Scream.
6, and that it's also just Freaky. No, Freaky is the one that was going to do Scream 7.
Let's pull up IMDb.
Yep.
I wonder if that had any like issue with the way the movie turned out. Having like, because you could see very clearly that this is like directed by a kid got absolutely.
They are, sorry to interrupt, Matt Bettinelli Olpin and Tyler Gillett. Or Gillette, or whatever.
Gillette razors.
Something like that.
We're not sponsored.
I just want to take this brief interlude to remind y'all that Dan Stevens did play the Beast in the Beauty and the Beast live action movie, and there were sometimes when he was a vampire where all I could hear was, "Now I know she'll never leave me."
Can I admit something to you? He was scarier in that.
What's the fucking accent, man? And it's because I know that he's British. I know what his voice sounds like. So when he's talking like this,
Like
man,
New York dog. We gotta go find the next pizza fire.
I think that's why they threw that one line when Joey's just like, also, he's not from Queens. He's been here for like just a little bit, and he's
You calling me a Yankees fan? Fuck the Yankees. I'm cheering for the Mets. He knows how to suck some tokens.
Go God.
Those are fucking onions.
I'm sorry.
Like, yeah, no, remembering that he's British is like so much funnier to me now. Because like he lived like to study for that role. He solely watched like movies that featured caricatures of pizza place owners.
I'm walking here.
He watched a lot of Kid Fox. That's Hoboken, the fondant. That's Hoboken, New Jersey. What the fuck are we talking about? The chocolate ganache.
His like shouting like, "Oh God, she's flying!"
Now she's flying, guys. Now she's flying.
No, that's the thing. Is there were some really like great moments of levity, but I just felt like it was a pacing issue because what you want is those moments to relieve tension.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there wasn't any tension, or we had really good like gore scenes, but we just didn't have enough to tie those together.
It wasn't serious enough to be taken seriously, and it wasn't goofy enough to not take it
And
seriously.
we were talking on last episode, at least in Frankenstein, that we loved the goofiness. We loved that it didn't take itself seriously. Because this is
Abigail-
such a different movie where it doesn't work.
It was a different approach to how to do goofy.
Mm-hmm.
It broke its tension where it didn't need tension to be broken.
Well,
Yeah, like I would say, like what its biggest issue was, from my eyes, was the fact that the sounds and the sights wanted to be a terrifying horror fest, but all your characters are acting goofy and dropping one-liners, and
Yeah.
you need to take a page out of Thanksgiving's book, where it's like if you go twice as fast, if you go twice as dark, then those one-liners will really snap it.
Yeah.
And you
Watch
gotta-
some Sam Raimi. Watch, yeah.
Yes, yes, and if you go through it, then it'll work. And this instead, like, I felt like, I know they said fuck 1,000 times, so I know it was rated R, but it felt like it wanted to appeal towards, like, a PG-13 audience, and I was like, if you're gonna take the R rating, like, let's commit, let's go in, and it went back and forth. It was like, okay, let's be really gross and say fuck a lot, and now let's pull back, and
What this movie really needed was a better editor.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what it was? It was a cash grab to follow up Megan.
It was.
Oh.
Yeah. With you got the dance too, which I mean, and I liked the dance, I liked the movement. Why did we not have more Swan-like music in the entire third act?
Instead of that one song.
I was gonna say I could do with a different ballet.
Or
We always get Swan Lake.
or just give me
Nutcracker?
more ballet songs within it. We've established that she's a ballet dancer. We can cover a lot of content.
There's a lot
but
of
the
darker,
entire third act, I was like, okay, now we get these intense fights. This is the big fight. What ballet song? Oh, it's just random soundtrack.
Well, and I will say, I know for a fact that they choose Swan Lake because it is the most
The most
recognizable.
iconic.
And I mean, they've even used it in Dracula,
Yep.
the Universal series, and the Universal Dracula, they used the Swan Lake theme for it. So people kind of associate that theme with horror, but they could have opened it up to a lot more different things. Because, yes, that's the most recognizable, but now, okay, we've used that, now we'll use something else.
Let's use a Nutcracker. People know the Nutcracker music.
Yeah.
Like there are other ballets
Does
that
it need
are
to be a
really
ballet that
recognizable.
people know?
How much would it
There's
have
a lot of
Now
I
you
guess.
fucking hilarious.
How much would it have slapped to hear her beat the shit out of someone and you're
And you know what?
Yeah.
That's then leading into that comedy. It's like they didn't know where to put it or how to use it. They were like, we've got some funny one-liners. Okay, let's put them in this movie, I guess.
Yep.
They played it very, very safe.
Yeah.
Too safe. It shows.
Yeah. But I think there's at least, 6 of us? Yeah. Not be a good time, I think, to kind of go through, hey, what was your favorite part? And if it helps, I can go first.
Yes.
It just came to me. It was honestly the beginning. Because by that point, we didn't hear, the Black Swan music, 4 times. But that whole moment of watching Abigail dancing on the stage to the tune of the classic Black Swan, very reminiscent of, the Dracula original Universal classic.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I loved how they filmed her. Because, yes, you could tell she looked like a ballerina, but with this white figure on a black stage and how she was posed, she looked like a bat flying in the night sky.
The title screen was also very elegantly done too. I loved having
Yeah.
the pink Abigail complementing that black and white.
Yeah. While also having all of these shots
Right.
of these like gritty Ocean's 11 like scenes,
Right.
they're trying to get
Yeah.
everything ready. I thought they were going to kidnap her at the theater. That to me would seem the best spot, not from her bedroom. But
Yeah.
hey, not my movie.
Yeah. Kenny?
I mean, my favorite. I'm sorry. Like anytime I see a creepy child dancing with a corpse, I'm all about it.
That was
Yeah.
a good moment.
It was great, fantastic, but like I think I said earlier, it just made me want to watch Interview with the Vampire and not Abigail.
There's life of the old lady yet.
Right. Right. But yeah, I mean, there were definitely moments, but moments don't equate to a movie to me.
Yeah.
Ricky?
I think if I were going to pick a favorite part, it would be the character of Abigail herself.
Yeah.
So the way her movements, or her conniving nature, and the way
So
she controls.
smart.
She is. She's so smart, and the concept of how she just like demonstrated to everyone these things don't work. You're not the first one to try it. You're not going to be the last. She got utter confidence with which she ran these people through the mill. I think that I love the potential of what could have been in there, and I love the way the actress built it. That's my favorite part.
On that note, I really want this actress around this age to do another horror movie, because I think that if she were given better material, she would knock it out of the park.
Oh, God,
She
yeah.
knocked this out of the
She's
park.
got-
Yeah.
The material
What she-
was not great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I want to see her a better one.
Oh, she'll blow.
Yeah.
She'll blow.
Agreed. If you see this for any reason, go see it for her.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Tip? I think I had like a two-parter. The first part, overall, it's more of the gnarly scenes, just because they kind of come out of nowhere and made me go, oh, okay. And one was the head falling off at the beginning with the first kill, and I was kind of like, okay, now we're getting into this. This is where it's coming from. But the second one was one that Brittany had touched on, where she just goes feral when she's on top of Peter and is just swiping this blood across her feral mouth. And I'm like, holy shit, she looks so evil. She looks like she knocked it out of the park in that scene. It's amazing. So those are my top two favorite parts.
We love a good bloodbath, don't we, Kitty?
We love it.
Yes. Yeah. These are such fantastically artistic and thought out answers. You know what? I'm a simple woman. I'm easy to please. I like the body pit. Catherine falls in. It is sludgy and musky and foamy, and the bodies
smell
are
it.
all the decomp, the stages of decomp across all the bodies was it was gooey and fresh, and it instantly, I have a pretty firm stomach when it comes to movies, and I felt it. I was because she's in it for a while, and it's all over her face. She's trying to swim and breathe. Clearly the water is deeper than she can stand, so there's a certain amount of body decomp getting into the mouth kind of a thing, and it was just so effective, and also wildly more balls to the wall than most of the movie, in my opinion. It just comes at you fast, and it was a lot. So that was my favorite part.
I also love that scene.
It's such a good, so gross.
But
dream.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hate to say this, because that was a great scene. You should watch Phenomena.
Kenny, I don't like Dario Argento.
That's
I'm
fine.
sorry.
But it's even stickier.
I do like something sticky, but now just watch The Fly.
That's
There's
fair.
good sources of sticky. My guy's right next to me.
Yeah.
Speaking of, what's your
I didn't
favorite?
look. My favorite was I got to see the ending twice.
Oh my god, yeah! You did! Adam, please tell us the story.
I stayed behind after everyone went on to the theater to get my snacks, my pretzels, and my drink.
The pretzels
And-
sucked.
You did
And the
not.
pretzels were horrible.
We went to the worst. Why do we always go to the worst?
Because
theaters?
it's close.
Easy. Because it's close.
Yeah. But,
So I start to walk to the theater, and I see theater number 9, and I'm like, oh, that's an Abigail poster out front. Makes sense that they're showing Abigail. I walk in, and I think that this might be a trailer for another movie, because I don't recognize what's going on. I sit down, and I'm like, I don't see them in the back. I didn't see anyone in their seats. So I was like, maybe they went to the bathroom. I don't know where everyone went. And I saw Catherine Newton get exploded. And I thought that was the ending, because I hadn't seen it. I was like, vampire just got blown up fuck, like I know what happens now, guys.
Oh.
And then I left and realized I was the wrong movie kid.
It's what number we were in?
You were in 16.
Yeah, we were in 16.
I was in 9.
And so he came in, like, and the movie hadn't even started, and he just goes, well, I saw the ending, guys, and we all just go, oh, no.
I'm glad it wasn't the end.
Little did you know there was like another 45 minutes after that.
Yeah,
The movie was very long.
There could have been 15.
It was only an hour and 49 minutes.
It felt
should have been
longer.
an hour and 20.
Yeah.
A sharp 90.
Yeah.
I do think that my favorite part was the when Abigail was puppeteering Sammy in the tunnel. And you saw the movement and the bones and the sounds.
And the sight of her
Did that-
skin burning with the little
and
cracks
she's
of the
like
lights.
running
That
her
was
claws
good.
against her teeth, and you hear it crack.
The puppeteering scene. Did that
she's-
remind you guys of like the remake of Suspiria?
Yeah.
I still haven't seen
seen
that
it.
yet.
I haven't seen it either.
But I think
Yeah.
this, I mean, yes, it reminded me of it. However, I felt like were different in their own right. I didn't feel like
Right.
it was.
This one was much more glamorous.
Yeah.
There is a point that I want to bring up that I don't know how many people realize this, and this might just because I like watching crime dramas and I know this kind of stuff, is that they keep calling Joey a junkie, and they keep talking about like her drug use and how we find out it was morphine. And Joey always had sugar and candy on her, and that's something that people do to curb the cravings for more drugs. And so I felt that was a very interesting detail that you wouldn't know unless you are looking for that detail.
I think they did a good job of explaining that.
Yeah, in the scene where Joey dresses all of them down and
Right.
calls her on the candy. So it does a nice way of like you establish it early on if someone knows to look for that piece, but then also it does scoop everyone in on the narrative.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
I was curious to know why they went with like the candy, because to me that would it be like more like an oral fixation?
it's the sugar.
The sugar?
It's
Okay.
the sugar.
Also,
Yeah.
did no one's background at all mean anything to this movie at all?
Not really, because
No.
even Miss like Medic, who did horrible like with dressing.
Detective did no detecting. Medic did no medicing.
This Miss,
Hacker did no hacking.
yeah,
The one thing I did really want to see before I forget is at the very end, Joey is stabbed onto like the furnace or whatever, and I'm like, if she's gonna go save Isabel, if she's gonna go save Abigail, she needs to herself walk off of it and go and get her. And it just she just sat there and waited for her damn Stevens to come
To
back.
be fair, that would be incredibly hard to muster
Well,
yourself
that's why
to do.
I was also open to that too.
After being tossed into how many shelves by that point?
Well, and being awake for over 24 hours,
Yeah.
and having like no food and extreme.
I'm sorry.
rest.
Is this a movie?
Yeah.
Like, you know?
I didn't then give her, because then when she didn't do that, I was like, fuck, she doesn't care. Like, she ignores the
Yeah.
pinky promise. I'm like, all right, well, she's done.
Yeah,
you know, and then
that, yeah.
they give it back to her and give her another chance to save her, and then she does save her, and then she unsaves her right at the end and leaves her
Right.
with her abusive dad. So,
But by that
fuck
point,
the metaphor.
Exactly.
I mean, I guess like they could say rationally, like, what the hell is he gonna do against Daddy Vampire after fighting
Right.
barely off the one who
let's
was
not call him daddy. He doesn't deserve that.
No.
Okay,
okay.
Yeah.
The boss vampire.
That's father. That's yeah.
Father vampire, whatever.
What I wanted to
Not
But
father.
I mean, though, like at that point, you saw her basically barely make it out
That's
alive
dad.
against the cop vamp. I can't imagine how they're gonna go and do that fight. Honestly, I was expecting him like this to chomp down right away without even,
His
second
statue
thought.
is so much cooler than him too.
You
Yeah.
just like his hat.
Yeah,
Yeah, you like a good hat.
I
So
do.
you can't see, Kenny is wearing
Which is
almost the same
everywhere.
hat, but much smaller.
It
I-
is a much wider brim.
What I wanted to see happen was when she's like, I'm not strong enough to beat him, I need you to help me, was her make that decision to become a vampire too.
Yes.
I wanted to see that happen because now we'll have 3 different vampires with different, like,
And that's what I
fighting
meant
abilities.
earlier when I said like I felt like they were trying to set up a sequel that I don't think anybody's gonna want.
No, because
Like-
they didn't commit to that.
Right.
If they committed to that, I would have seen that. And then now she's stuck there taking care of Abigail, and she's not a mom to her son anymore, but she could be a mom to Abigail. Like, that could have been...
Yeah, that's
something.
That's what I was expecting to happen. It had a
honestly.
lot of different ways they could have taken it.
Yeah.
They could have just had the dad not show up at the end, and
Yeah.
then the metaphor still sits. Like, they had a lot of opportunities, and I think it was just the same
thing, and I know I keep bringing up Smile, but only because this was the thing that irked me so badly, because that movie scared me, and then it just fucks it up.
Yeah.
But it's because I feel like sometimes filmmakers get so in their head about what the potential is, and the characters, and the fun that they can have, that they forget the story they were telling. And it's like they told a story for like 90% of the movie for Joey, and then they just forgot. They were like, how cool would it be if Daddy Vampire showed up and he was extra scary?
And now he's
And
gonna
he's
be
too
there
strong.
for his daughter.
Yes,
Right.
which
Because
is...
she, what?
It's dumb.
Because what now? Hundreds of years, and now he's just gonna be there for her?
Suddenly be a fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's gone now, but comes to me.
As a do.
Yes, I do. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I just, also one more thing is like...
Oh, it came back to me.
Okay, good, no, go.
Okay, it was, I thought, honestly, with how they're setting up the whole Pinky Promise kind of stuff, they're going to spend most of the film with, her name escapes me. Joey, thank you. Basically, getting close to attacking Abigail, but never actually including any kind of violence. Kind of that, like, will she go after her? Will she not? Will she kind of keep her, Pinky Promise at the very end? The first reveal? Nope. Fire it away.
Oh, yeah, she unloads a whole rack, like, right away.
Right.
Yeah, no, she just unloaded the whole clip.
Which at which point, don't bring the Pinky Promise back up.
Yeah.
Don't bring it back up, because then Abigail knew damn well she was lying.
Yeah.
Right, why does Abigail still like her, trust her at this point?
Right.
And it's like, no, she's
I would-
right, because she is a master manipulator, and she knows that she can manipulate Joey into helping her.
But the Pinky Promise back at the end, that was like,
They made it at the
that
end.
was, yeah, they meant
She
it at
could
the
have
end.
killed Joey at the end, but she
Yeah.
doesn't.
And like, I don't know how many times they had to pretend to kill her by draining her.
Like, dude,
Yeah.
we
And
figured that
then
out, it didn't work
You
the first
drained
time.
her again, and then
That
you're
was
like, oh,
so
it really
weird.
worked this time. And then it didn't.
Mhm.
And it's like, I feel like you just made this fight twice as long
Yeah.
as it needed to be.
I know, but this is
For the
you,
second
and you
one.
never finish a beverage, so I
Okay, but here you are agreeing with me the whole time, so up to you.
I feel like I've just learned so much about Adam.
Never finished the beverage.
You have a point, though. It was extra long. It was kind of drawn out. Maybe it's like they ran out of budget to pay Father Vamp to come do more scenes, or they have the budget to actually have a bloody fight. Because, like, okay, we can't have the big clown round fight with the mob boss. Let's have more of a fight with the cop vamp. Which
I
was
don't know what fucking mob this fucking dude was being the boss of, because he looked like he could have, I don't know, like, he just looked like such a bitch.
There's a bit
Like,
yeah, I want to see more of the crime underworld.
I was
I thought that
expecting
the review was going to be that there is no dad, it's just her operation. She's been
Right.
around for centuries.
They
This girl is the
I
crime
thought
boss.
she was the
Which would have, I mean,
Yeah, that's
That
what
would
I
have been
was
so much
expecting.
cooler. Would have been so much
I
cooler.
wanted like full on Nosferatu to come out, like
Yeah.
underlooking.
Yeah, give me a- give me a
yeah.
really
Like,
big, I was kind of hoping to be like, the guy who died in the first act, like Rickles, or his like thrusting it up
Give me
that,
somebody who looks like John Gotti. Not this
Yeah.
fucking guy.
or like either the two that died early on and come back. Oh wait, you were the dad the entire time. Pull like a saw, kind of like body in the ground.
I just want a bat in the attic. He'll just flap around. She's Papa, no!
Yeah.
Again!
Even like a familiar face would have been better than just a completely...
Random dude that I'm
Yeah.
not terrible.
I would've been
This
like,
fucking aged Edward Cullen looking ass.
I would have taken him to like a Bela Lugosi lookalike.
Yeah,
That-
like, even like some
Nicolas
CGI
Cage.
Yeah.
Look, if you were gonna go full tilt into like the horror comedy, having like a Bela Lugosi looking motherfucker come in, Bela Lugosi, thank you, would have been so funny, and especially with him coming in going, "I've gone by many names," like that would have been great.
A nod, a bit.
A little nod. If you're gonna lean more in the horror comedy, that would be cool.
Yeah.
I'll make it scary.
They didn't lean
Yeah,
into
for sure.
anything 100%, and I think that was this movie's biggest failure.
Couldn't agree more.
That to say, my final thoughts on this: if you want a badass vampire movie, this ain't it. Watch Near Dark. Watch anything.
Watch this with your friends when it's streaming and talk shit the whole time.
Yes.
Yeah,
What?
because it's gross enough that it'll be fun if you don't have to pay a movie
Yes.
ticket for it.
Don't
You will have a
pay
good time.
don't pay $12 for this, or don't be a douchebag and only pay $9 and pretend you're a child like I did.
Wait, you're not a child, Kenny?
I paid a child's price for this.
I'm surprised that you're allowed to do that for a rated R movie.
Listen, those fucking people that at that movie theater do not get paid enough to check what ticket I bought.
He's like, I've been around for centuries.
Yes.
Right.
Any final thoughts from you all?
I gave him gross pits. Good stuff.
I thought it was fun. Like, it's okay. It's just a movie.
World's
It's okay.
okayest movie.
Like, I
World's
loved, there were parts where I was like, oh yeah, and there were other parts where I'm like, I'm really bored right now. So, it was a good mix. I'm glad I saw it. I loved the explosion bits. That was great. But yeah, it was okay.
You could have left those in Ready or Not.
I'm going with Kimberly on this one. Is like there are enough good nuggets in there to make it worth watching on streaming with your friends on like a good hangout night, but it unfortunately just doesn't hit it right for me.
It's a good background movie.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're also just hanging out and stuff, and then you get to look up and see someone explode or see a head roll away, like that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Just keep your expectations low.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very strong, clip posted on YouTube kind of movie. Like, see this one really cool scene, or like,
Yeah, you're right. It's absolutely one of those movies that you could watch the entire thing in 2 TikTok clips.
Yeah.
And
It's-
the rest is filler.
it's a perfect Halloween party movie. Put it on the background, like, hey guys, look, the dance scene's coming up or whatever. But for me, my final thoughts is I cannot wait for the licensed fighting game to come out because that's gonna slap.
This movie is not gonna get that.
Well, that is a shame and their loss.
Yes.
Holy crap, you actually listened to the end. Well, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you. Thank you so much. It's awfully kind of you. We try our best, and sometimes our best ends up being we just spent the last hour partaking in. But that said, if you haven't already, consider liking, subscribing, commenting down below what you thought of Abigail. And if you don't, no worries. You take care, and we'll see you next time.